All right, welcome to the 5 a.m. grind. Horace, what's up, man?
Nothing much,
Going
man.
well?
Yeah, it's going well, man.
Yeah?
Thankfully, yeah.
Nice. So I thought we'd cover, for this week's podcast, we'd cover the topic of time. And I'm calling this the most valuable asset you have in your life, and that is time. So I wanted to cover, number one, what does time mean to you? What do you think about people saying that, oh, your 20s doesn't really matter, your 30s don't matter, all that kind of stuff? You know how there's this phenomenon in society. Number three, how do you decide how you'd like to allocate your time? And four, if we have time, what time management techniques and tools do you use?
Yeah.
So what does time mean to you? Just in general in life, I feel like it's one of those, profound questions. What does time mean to you?
I don't know, man. Time is, I guess, experience, growing, understanding new things, pursuit of knowledge.
Yeah, I think like I sort of started the podcast, I think it's the most valuable thing you have in life. And it's one of those things, you can make more money, you can make more friends, you can have relationships, yada, yada, yada. But time is one of those things you always have less of as you go through life. You always have less of it. And you can never get it back.
And Ben, you don't even know how much you have, though. That's the crazy
so
part.
True.
You know, people are like, oh, my God, somebody else did something by the time they were 30, and I'm like 40 or 20 or whatever the heck it is. It's like, but do you know the percentage of your life that you've lived? You don't.
Yeah.
And the percentage of your life that you're able-bodied and you're able to do things, how much of that have you lived? You have no idea.
So true. There is a lot of uncertainty about all
because like some people, right, like God forbid something could happen and your mind is fried by the time you're 50, 60, 70, and some people are still working 80, 90.
Yeah.
So you look at Trump, maybe he's a little fried, but he's got enough working so that like he's made it to being president. So
he definitely has. I mean, so let's go into like that one question we had for this week's podcast. What do you think about timelines in general in life? A lot of people say, oh, your 20s, don't worry about it. It's do whatever you want.
You know what?
When people give advice like this, what do you think about it?
I think it's a load of crap.
Yeah,
to be honest,
yeah.
Right? I think that you forget about your 20s. I think because before... if you went back 50 years ago, 100 years ago, boys became men at like 12, right?
Yeah, it was a very different time.
Yeah, you were expected to work. And then it stretched and you're not even stretched. It created this like in-between time, right? Your adolescent years where you're trying to find yourself between 12 to 18. Right. And then that grew to 20. And then now it's gone to like 30. And now it's like, people in their 30s still don't really know what they want. Right?
Yeah.
So when are you really starting life? People, well, I don't know how long ago, man, but like in the dark ages, at least in Europe, right? It was like you lived until your mid-20s, your 20s. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you, issues back then were different because in Europe, they were like, if you wash your hands with water, there's going to be like bacteria and you die earlier, right? But like thing is that the point I'm trying to get at is like people in their like 20 was all they've got. 20 years is all they've got in life, right? In her first 5-10 years, I don't know what the heck they're doing. They're obviously growing up, right? And then that's it. After that you got 10 years and that's it. 10, 12 and you're gone. But nowadays it's like 20, 25, I'm still like there's so much social media, so much entertainment to distract you that you're still trying to live and understand your life before you can actually start it. Which is, to me, it's like mind-boggling, man.
Yeah, no, I agree. The whole idea between 30s or the new 20s, I don't like that idea at all because that advocates for a lot of people to postpone a lot of important decisions. And let's be honest, I'm not saying in your 20s you should have figured out everything you want in your life and you should know what career you want and how you want to get married, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that your 20s are such an important time for you to develop a certain skill set, for you to just figure out life as well, to try a new job, to try a certain career path, to launch a business and see if that works, right? It's such an important time to experiment that for you to think that, oh yeah, I'm still a student, I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. No, I wouldn't take that approach. I would take the approach in your 20s of like, yes, it's a time when you're still trying to figure things out, but you should definitely be trying stuff out instead of just sitting back and being like, no, I'm a student. Let me do a master's in this or a master's in that or a PhD in that. Yeah. That's one thing about the educational system as well that I'm not a big fan of, is it has sort of postponed adulthood or going into the workforce, right? Because people stay students for a longer time now.
Yep. And in the long run, it just messes up your brain so much because it compartmentalizes your life where these are the years I'm a student and then I party. And then after that, I'm not a student anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And when they're not being a student, they're not learning. When it's like, you should be learning your entire life. You should be a student your entire life.
Agreed.
Entire life. And the point I think the both of us are getting at is, again, like, to add to what you said, it's not about knowing everything in your 20s, but it's taking on the responsibility of life or existence or understanding and placing meaning to the world around you and pursuing that endeavor that's more important than actually figuring things out. You never, ever, I feel like, there was when I was working at Jaguar Land Rover, there was a manager there, and she came to me and she's like, she told me how she felt like I was always focused in on getting something done, that I don't like look at the entire process. And she's like, like sometimes in life, it's not about where you're going, or I mean, it is about where you're going, but the journey is as important as where you're going, because sometimes the journey is all you've got, right? And life is a journey. There's going to be no point in life that anyone can sit down and say, hey, I know everything. There's no way.
Yeah.
And if you're waiting to the end of your life and say, well, my life was worth living, your life is not going to be worth living, because you should be able to say that in every moment of your life. You should be like, you know what? I've given it all I've got.
Yeah. Yeah, like living with no regrets type of thing, trying out.
But I know, so then the no regret part though is not like living audaciously and being like, oh, I don't care about things.
Yeah, right? No, agreed.
Yeah, it's like I'm a responsible. I don't mean to sound like people's dads and stuff, but
we're gonna sound a bit like people's dads.
But it's like, I've lived a life where I'm working hard towards being a better person.
Yeah. I think what you're trying to say is I've given it all that I've got, right? I tried hard. Yeah. Yes, you do have. I think even with me in life, I do have some regrets for sure, and everybody does, and that's okay. You don't need to beat yourself up over it. Having regrets is absolutely okay. It means you learn to look back in life, reflect on your decisions, and be like, this is where I went wrong, and here's I'm going to change it when going forward. That's absolutely fine. But no, I totally agree. This whole idea that, oh, you're going to figure it out when you're 30s or your 40s. Yeah. Dude, you're not going to figure it out. Yeah. Let me break that to you. You're not going to figure it out by the time you're 40. If you're waiting to figure it out or somehow just sitting there expecting that, ta-da, some sort of light will show up and you'll have figured it out. No, life is not like that. Yeah. The way you figure it out in life is by doing stuff, trialing it out, trying a new business, trying a new career. That's how you figure it out, right? And you'd learn in life, nobody's really figured it out. It's just you become more confident in yourself and you build a skill set where you are able to tackle uncertainty in life with the skill set and confidence you build over time. Yeah. There's no like figuring it out. You never really
there's no final golden answer that everybody's like, oh, this is it.
Right.
It's like the biggest regret in time that I have would never be, oh, I should have done that investment. Oh, I lost that money doing something over there or whatever it is. It's always, I look back and I'm like, okay, am I working hard in trying to change myself? Am I a better person? And not better as in, oh, I like donated more money, so I'm a better person. Those actions are needed. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But when I say, am I a better person? It's putting in that work to change the things about yourself that are difficult to change, but you've had a hard look at yourself and you figured that these are the things that need to be changed.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So maybe you don't take chances. So now, like, it's not about just, like, taking a huge chance from the beginning, but you take a step. What's something that you're uncomfortable about, right? In doing and thinking about, do that just a little bit and then take a next step, right? You up the ante and you keep going from there. And so it doesn't have to be that you're transformed overnight, but you're just taking one step on that journey to better yourself in like actions, deeds, mindset.
Yeah. 100%. I think the thing that I tell myself if I was younger as well in my 20s, look, I don't think you and I are advocating, at least I'm not, advocating that you need to be hardworking all the time. Like one of my regrets, especially going through university and stuff, is I should have taken a gap year between whether it was high school and university or, I don't know, after university, if I could have traveled, done whatever, gotten that out of my system, and then gone on with my career, right? I don't think that's a bad idea. Now I'm saying one gap year. I'm not saying you're wasting away your entire 20s. That's totally fine. That's totally acceptable. If you need to do that, do it. And it's totally okay. But what I would also tell myself if I was in my 20s, and I think I've done this to a certain extent, is trial out different careers and different career paths to see what it is that I like. I think my 20s helped me do that because I went into accounting, went into finance, I tried out different jobs. I was like, here's what I don't like, here's what I like. You learn what you like over as you trial out new careers and jobs. That's very advantageous to do that in your 20s. The other thing I would have done, I think, in my 20s is been a bit less risk averse and just trial out a business earlier on. But I mean, you know, you live and you learn.
The one thing that you said, and I just want to go back to it because I kind of disagree.
Okay, no, go ahead. It's good to have disagreements.
Is the traveling part. The traveling. I mean, gap year, you know what? If you're trying to figure yourself out and you need a gap year, like, go for it, right? And by gap year, I mean that you just can't take on school and figuring yourself out at the same time. If you want to do part-time, whatever, I don't really care, but like it's more like you're still putting in the work. It's not like you're trying to run away from something. But the whole traveling part, I feel like it's something that is in our generation where like, I got to go see the world. I'm well travel, well cultured. You know, my nephew, he's 5 years old. He's been to a lot, or in 5 years, he's like almost 2. But he's been to like 5-6 countries. Is he well traveled and well cultured now? You know what I mean? There's a lot of people who want to be like, I want to travel, but they don't know their own backyard properly. You have to put in the time to get to know yourself and figure out who you really are before you can figure out who other people are, let alone civilizations and societies and all of that. Because the real meaning of traveling is really understanding how people are doing and behaving and why they're doing that in a different country. Not because, they have these nice buildings and I took a picture next to them and it looked nice and the painting was good and they don't have those buildings here and they make pizza or pasta a different way or whatever it is, right? And I'm going to Instagram and take pictures, whatever, and be like, in this country, they did this. I find a lot of people, and I'm not saying everybody's doing this. But a lot of people, the traveling is more of a means to express the ego than a genuine, sincere, empathetic understanding of another culture or society.
I think social media has definitely ruined that, for sure. Because a lot of people are like, I'm going to go traveling and then show it off on social media. That's essentially what they want to do, really. It's not about learning about a different culture, really opening their minds and stuff like that, for sure.
It's more of a confidence game.
And let's be honest, there is never in life, like even if you're going to say, I'm going to go travel and I'm going to figure it out. I laugh at this. No, that doesn't happen, dude. You don't travel and then figure it out. You figure it out through life by doing stuff, but actually doing, let's be honest, unpleasant and hard work is usually how you figure it out.
100%.
By trialing a new business, trialing a new career, trying it out. That's how you figure it out. You're not going to go travel and have some sort of an epiphany on something and then all of a sudden figure it out.
Reflecting it's so difficult for most people. Right? And that's how you figure it out, not by going out and traveling. You spend 10, 15 minutes a day home alone in a corner somewhere and trying to evaluate why you're behaving the way you're behaving. Whether something is right or wrong doesn't matter. It'll go such a long way than going and trying to travel, right? Like 10, 15 minutes, and it's not just like rationalizing your actions, right? It's like, in fact, sometimes it's the opposite way. Am I rationalizing something when I shouldn't be? And you're trying to poke holes in yourself. And it's not necessarily to like go into a mindset where like, oh my God, I'm such a horrible person. There's none of that nonsense. It's like, what my pursuit is the truth. The first thing that blinds me from the truth are my own biases. So I have to get rid of that. And what are those biases? What am I not looking at or doing? What lenses do I have that I need to take off? And like facing those sometimes hard realities in understanding what's in front of you. And once you've got that, then traveling could be awesome because you're actually going and seeing things for what they really are.
Yeah.
But nobody puts in that work. I've seen very few self-aware individuals.
Yeah.
That like have put in that work to really understand who they are at least some kind of level.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like, traveling is one of those things. If you travel in your 20s, sure, it's awesome. It's kind of nice. You put it on social media. But when you travel, when you're older, your life perspective, like you said, has changed. You look at things differently. You definitely do. So you don't want to, put all your traveling in your 20s. You want to do it over your life as well. Because trust me, your perspective in your 20s and 30s and 40s will change. And you want to look at, other countries as you get older as well, which is quite interesting because you look at them in a different manner.
Yeah, 100%.
And in a different way.
Because you see like life so much differently when you're older.
You certainly do. You certainly do. What do you think about these, milestones that we have in society today? Whether it's, I don't know, in your 30s, you should be married. 40s, I don't know, you should have kids, whatever the hell it is.
I think it's like
do you believe
garbage.
In that stuff?
No, man.
Yeah.
I don't at all. It's so garbage. I think that as long as, like some people, they'll get, for example, married when they're like 18. It's great. If it works for them, it's great. Some people 30s, 40s, 50s. I think one of the guys, Grant Cardone's a marketer or sales guy I follow, I think he got married in his 50s or something. Yeah. Right? So it's like, and his mindset was, there's things that he needs to accomplish before he does that, and which is fine, right? I don't really care, but like you shouldn't get married for the wrong reasons. That's the thing. Yeah. You shouldn't get married because somebody else got married for sure. Yeah. But then at the same time, you should also, like, for example, in these decisions, think about what really matters. Again, and I think we talked about this in a previous podcast where marriage is like people are like trying to they're holding off marriage because they're trying to find the right person for who they are today, but they don't know who they're going to be tomorrow. Yeah. I'm not a fan in society of this whole postponement of stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Postponing major life decisions like marriage, postponing career decisions into the future, as if somehow you're going to know in the future something else, or you're going to be enlightened somehow and know something about marriage or careers, etc. That's going to help you. No. The way to do it is to, if you can, circumstances permitting, of course, try to do it earlier in your life and just figure it out. It's living responsibly.
Yeah.
It's like, whether you get a job, okay, or your marriage, right? It's not going to be the perfect, most ideal conditions. But you're willing to work with it. You are. With a job nowadays, people are like, I want this ideal career. It has to make me feel good. For most people, it's not. It's just a job. It's a way you make money so you can pay the bills. Call it for what it is. It's not like, I want something that makes me feel warm inside. The
thing that society misses today about being young, number one, is that, first of all, you can take bigger decisions when you're young because you have nothing to lose. Yeah, you're 18, launch that business. 22, launch it. Because back then, at 22, you don't have a mortgage, you don't have a family to feed, so go ahead, launch 100%. It. You can make those big decisions 100%. As opposed to postponing it when you're in your 30s and you have a mortgage and you have a mouth to feed at home. And even marriage as well. You're a little bit stupid when you're 18 and you'll just fall in love and you like a person for, I don't know, sometimes the wrong reasons, and that's okay. Sometimes ignorance is complete bliss. It's a good thing.
But the other thing is, when you're younger, though, and you get married, you have the energy to put in to understand the other person. And you're more open.
You can put up with stupid crap. Because when you're older, you're like, I don't want to deal with this. And you become more entrenched in your ways. So sometimes it is actually an advantage to get married when you're young. And you develop and grow together. I've seen this with a lot of younger couples. They got married early. They have a fantastic understanding of each other. They've sort of grown together in their 20s. So that's it. They understand each other really well, as opposed to some couples that get married in their 30s and they have their lives already, and then blending the two together, it's tough. That's quite hard to do sometimes. I mean,
and though you could flip that as well. And in some couples in their 30s, they put the time in themselves enough so that when they do get together, it's a better relationship. Whereas people who are getting married younger, more often, because they're growing together, they have that validation right from the beginning. And so they're not necessarily, there's nothing that's pushing them to grow as much as they would have otherwise. And a lot of people are probably going to be listening to this, be like, "No, I got married when I was young, and I grew, and this and that." Like, to me, from what I've seen, right, like diamonds are made under pressure, and it's there's just more pressure, man.
In life, for sure. But I mean, I would say, would you agree though, in general, that this whole postponement of milestones in your life is not a good thing? Like, I'm not a fan of it at all.
No. That being said, things happen. You could start your business in 30, 40, whenever. Right?
Yeah, I'm not saying you'd be unsuccessful. I'm just saying it's sometimes nicer to get a head start.
Yeah, but consciously postponing that decision is because you're afraid of making a decision. You're postponing responsibility.
Yeah,
right?
That's actually a really good way to put it.
Yeah, it's not there is no, like, if you're just postponing it to postpone it and then you rationalize it, like, oh, I don't want to do this business because I'm not ready. I need to know more things. Isn't that like nobody's ever ready to start a business?
Yeah, there's never a good time.
Yeah. Nobody's ever ready to get married, right? Like, you just jump into it and you figure things out. The things that you do need to carry with you are more principles.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're committed to it. You're going to be making sure that you work hard to understand the business, the economy, the person, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, so true. I guess so. Okay, for our last bit here, maybe we can cover the two questions together. Yeah. Okay. How do you decide how you oh my God, I can't speak. How do you decide how you'd like to allocate your time? Yeah. And last but certainly not least, what time management techniques do you use? So how do you decide how to allocate your time, and then how do you sort of manage and allocate that time? Do you use a technique or some sort of a certain tool?
Nothing, man. I wake up and I'm like, okay, I've got goals that are set for the week. I mean, there's files that I have to complete for clients by the end of the week for the next 2 weeks, right? So those things are always like priority, right? Because you can't postpone those, right?
Right.
If somebody has getting rid of some kind of condition on an agreement, like, that needs to be done. There is no I'll get to it when I get to it. So that has to be done. And I like to get those done as soon as possible. But then also I don't look at, like, I know some people schedule it, right? Where it's like, okay, from 9 to 10, I'm doing this. For me, it's where, like, does my mind still have the energy to do this next step? If it doesn't, let's skip it. I'll come back to it, right? And then I'll move on to the next one. And so I'll have, for example, short, medium, long-term goals.
Yep.
Right? And it's like, I will prioritize short-term goals first, and then medium, and then long.
Yeah.
And then I'll skip through it if I don't have the mental energy. Let's say, I don't know, I have to read some kind of lease and figure out, like, all these other terms in it or whatever. And I have to put serious energy. That takes attention.
Yeah.
Right? It takes attention to detail, because sometimes when you're reading these contracts, lease, contract, whatever it is, agreement, I'm talking about, like, business agreements, residential agreements. Like, I've read so many that, like, I know exactly where to look.
What they say. Yeah.
But, like, with a lot of these nuanced agreements, you still have to read every single word. You need an attention span, and, like, you need strong concentration. If I feel like I've done stuff like the immediate task, and I'm coming to something like that, and it's not due tomorrow, and I'm not 100%, I will postpone it until I am 100%.
Right.
So I'm not postponing it to, like, postpone it.
Yeah.
I'm postponing it because I need to do. I know myself enough to be like, I can't read this. I can spend time on this. If I would have spent an hour before, I'm going to spend 2 hours now, and I'm not going to be able to do this as good as I want to.
Yeah. Got it.
So that's how I prioritize. What about you?
Yeah, no, I think we've gone over this during our productivity podcast, and the way I do it is, I am the laziest person in the world. I'm not kidding. I am the laziest person. If I don't, and that's why my productivity system or schedule is so involved. Because, dude, I can find any reason to procrastinate on anything and postpone anything. Like, I'm such a lazy person. And that's why it's sort of involved. I have my yearly goals. I break them down into monthly goals. I break them down into weekly goals. And then, like, a few tasks I need to do every day. Because if I was not to do that, dude, I wouldn't get anything done. I'll always put it off. I'd always be like, oh, I've got some other things to do. Always put it off. To that end, though, I did want to cover a certain subtopic of these questions. What do you think about people that always say, I'm busy? I'm busy. You tell them, hey, you available? No, like, I'm too busy. I used to be guilty of this too. But what do you think about that? People always going, I'm busy.
I thought, like, I don't know. I remember in undergrad, I didn't think you were that bad with this, man. Like, I felt like it's okay to be busy, right? And when you're busy, you should tell people you're busy. right?
But do you think sometimes it's just BS?
I feel like a lot of people are just kind of like, you know what? I'm busy to show that they've got something to do in my time. Right. You know what I mean? It's more of an impression.
And sometimes, do you think, I used to do this sometimes too. I used to say I'm busy, but I used to have like one thing to do. And then I used to say I'm busy because I don't know, I wanted to sit down at home and watch Netflix or something like that. And sometimes it's so, because I had a TV show to watch and I was going to say I'm busy. And sometimes, to be honest, I get people. That's totally fine. You need a little bit of me time. It's totally okay. But usually I find it hard to believe that you're so busy that you can't allocate time for other things. Like, let's say, I've always told you this, right? A lot of people will tell you, I'm too busy to go to the gym. Then I'm like, dude, have you seen Elon Musk? He runs 3 freaking companies. Like, how are you busy? And this guy is running 3 companies. Or how are you busy? Yet Bill Gates hasn't. Let's be honest. The one common denominator between successful individuals and whoever else, Bill Gates has 24 hours. You have 24 hours. Bill Gates is a billionaire and built Microsoft. Like you and him have the same amount of time. You should have no reason to say that I don't have enough time to build, blah, blah, blah. When Bill Gates built Microsoft in the same amount of time that you have as well.
But to be fair, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, people have different priorities, right? Because like a lot of these guys, like Elon Musk, like if you look at his personal life, it's not
non-existent. There are sacrifices to be made.
So if you want to like spend time with your family, your parents, your spouse, your siblings, right? Your kids, you're going to have to like let go some of these things, right? So in that sense, but I agree at the same time, whereas there's people who just are lazy. And when they're saying lazy, it's like, it's the same thing. They're postponing doing something. And saying, oh, no, it's just like there's certain decisions you can postpone a couple of years. There's certain decisions you can postpone a couple days, hours, whatever. I'll get in whatever I can as long as I don't have to do it right now. But you know what? I feel like when you postpone something, it's on the back of your mind.
Yeah.
I'd rather just get it done and get it out of my mind, man.
Lately, I've become like that, too. I think it's over the past year or something as well. There's an immediacy to everything that I do. If I have a to-do list, I'd rather do it now. I'd rather, like, do it now. So I can get it out of my way.
I like that. That's what I operate on. Like just a sense of immediacy. Everything has to be done now, and I keep working until, like, I can't. But I also, like, try to take some time out for family.
Of course.
And then that's pretty much it. But I don't go to the gym because I don't got time. No. And you know what? I don't go to the gym because I don't make time. Because I could make time.
You could make time. That's the thing, right? I think so. You could make the time. And eventually, let's be honest, after doing it for 30 days, it becomes part of your routine. And that's it. It's something you do. You go to the gym, you go to work. It's like, it's part of your routine.
You know what? It's like the routine part is so important because I would start going to the gym and I know we're about to end, but I'd start going to the gym and then like COVID happens, it shuts down. And then I just snap out of the routine. Getting back on the bike after you're falling off.
It's tough.
For me, man, I'm a bit of a hefty dude. So it takes longer. It takes more willpower.
And I think that's the hardest part maybe about a lot of like decisions or, decisions you have to make with your time. It's sometimes to get the ball rolling, right? It's to get like the engine of the train started. It takes a lot of work. You got to put coal in it, etc. But once the train is moving, it's just momentum. It's pretty easy. It just keeps going.
For the gym, dude, it's like, I think it's like the first 2 weeks. That is horrible. After that, like I'm running to the gym. That's what I know that myself too, psychologically. You have more energy. You're like, oh, I feel it's good. You're seeing something change, and you're like, I want to add more to it. Whatever, it's good.
No, 100%. So, any last thoughts just on dealing with time? Time as an asset. What do you think?
I mean, don't take time for granted, and put everything you've got in every moment, and really live that moment. And don't postpone things for the sake of postponing, right? Plan it out. Understand yourself so you can understand the decisions you're making and really make the best decisions you can.
Yeah. I think I'd say as a young person, time is the biggest asset you have, and it's the biggest advantage that you also have because it allows you invest early, you have a longer time horizon, you can sit down and, go through compound growth in your investments. You can trial things earlier. Therefore, you have the advantage of learning things that your peers wouldn't. I think it's the biggest asset you can have, and definitely don't squander it and spend it wisely. All right.
Words of wisdom.
Thanks. All right. We'll leave it there.
All right. Take care, guys.
Okay. Take care. See you on the next one.